Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. My beloved brothers and sisters, today I want to remind you of something absolutely beautiful, something that should bring peace to your heart. Allah guides you even when you hear nothing, even when there is no voice, no vision, no grand sign. Allah is guiding you without saying a word. My beloved brothers and sisters, many of us grow up with the idea that guidance from Allah must come in an extraordinary way, perhaps through a dream, a vision, or a voice we can hear. But I want to remind you today of something very powerful. Allah can guide you without saying a single word. And this guidance, though quiet, is sometimes the most impactful. We live in a world full of noise, opinions, voices, influences from all directions. In this chaos, we often miss the most beautiful form of guidance, in the subtle, silent signs from Allah that are all around us. The Quran constantly refers to signs. And yet, these signs are not just verses, they are lessons embedded in everyday life. Allah tells us over and over again, indeed, in that are signs for a people who give thought. Then this means that guidance is already around you. But the condition is, you have to reflect, you have to think, you have to look with the eyes of the heart, not just the eyes of the face. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're about to take a decision, maybe a job offer or a major move in your life, and suddenly, things just don't go smoothly. You face delay after delay. The people you were relying on pull back. Opportunities you thought were guaranteed begin to fade. You get frustrated and think, why is nothing working out? But what you may not realize is that this is Allah guiding you, not through a spoken command, but through the obstacles He places or removes in your path. Sometimes He gently redirects you away from something harmful, even when you can't see the harm yet. Many times people tell me, I had a plan for my life, but nothing went the way I wanted. And I say to them, that's a mercy from Allah, because His plan is better than yours. Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, but perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you, and Allah knows while you know not. Do you see how this works? And Allah knows, you don't. That's why His guidance can come in ways that are beyond our understanding, and often beyond words. Think about the Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. When he fled Egypt and was all alone in the desert, he had no idea where to go. But Allah was guiding him every step of the way, to safety, to Madian, to the people who would host him, and eventually to the mission that would change history. Did Allah speak to him at that moment in the desert? No, not yet. But the guidance was already in motion. The steps were being laid down. The path was being cleared, without a single word spoken. Now let's bring this closer to our lives. Maybe you've been in a situation where a certain friendship ended. You were hurt, you felt betrayed. But over time you realized that person was not good for your mental, emotional, or spiritual health. That separation, though painful, went as a silent form of guidance. Allah removed them from your life not to punish you, but to purify your surroundings, to make space for someone better, or to help you focus on Him. We sometimes expect Allah to speak to us through miraculous events, but the real miracle is how He speaks to the heart. Through experiences, through people, through even the smallest of coincidences. A verse from the Quran that suddenly resonates. A khutbah you randomly hear that answers exactly what you've been wondering. A delay that saves you. A redirection that places you where you need to be. These are not accidents, these are not coincidences. These are messages, sent by the one who needs no voice to be heard. So what should you do? Open your eyes, open your heart, slow down. Don't rush through life assuming you're alone or unguided. The guidance of Allah is there, sometimes wrapped in ease, sometimes in difficulty, but always there. You just have to be willing to see it, reflect on it, and submit to it. Because when Allah guides, He doesn't always say a word, but He always shows the way. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most beautiful ways Allah guides us without speaking a word is through the Qur'an itself. The Qur'an is not just a book of laws or stories from the past. It is a living, breathing miracle that speaks directly to our hearts, if only we allow it to. It may not call your name out loud, but it speaks to your soul. Sometimes a verse that you read or hear, even just once, can change your entire life. That is the power of Allah's silent guidance. You might be going through something heavy, a loss, confusion, heartbreak, or just a moment of spiritual emptiness. And then one day, you open the Qur'an, or you scroll past a verse on your phone, or you hear it being recited in a lecture or a khutbah, and suddenly it feels like that verse was meant for you. like it was waiting for you. No one around you knows what's happening in your heart at that moment, but, this is no coincidence. This is not random. This is Allah speaking to you through His words, even if you didn't hear a voice. The Quran is filled with verses that comfort the heart, correct our intentions, realign our purpose, and clarify our confusion. When you open the Quran in search of answers, you'll find them, not always in the way you expect, but in the way you need. Allah knows you better than you know yourself. He knows which words will calm you, which ones will wake you up, and which ones will heal the wounds you haven't even told anyone about. And the most amazing thing is that the Quran doesn't change, but you do. That's why a verse you read 5 years ago may not have meant much to you then, but today, that same verse might bring you to tears. Why? Because now you're in a place where your heart is open. Now you're ready to understand. That verse was always there, but the guidance was waiting for the right moment to reach you. Subhanallah, this is the silent wisdom of Allah. You see, Allah designed the Quran to be timeless. It addresses every type of human being. The believer, the disbeliever, the hypocrite, the struggler, the hopeful, the fearful, the patient, the grateful. No matter who you are, there is something in the Quran for you, and it doesn't scream at you. It doesn't force itself into your life. It sits quietly, waiting for you to turn to it. And when you do, it opens its treasures to you. Some people ask, how can I feel close to Allah when I don't hear Him? But the truth is, you are hearing Him. When you hear the Quran, you are hearing His words. You are connecting directly to His speech. There is no medium, no filter, just you and the words of your Creator. What greater connection could there be? Even the structure of the Quran is part of its guidance. The stories aren't arranged like a history book. The messages are scattered, yet connected. A verse about patience may follow a verse about struggle. A verse about hope may come after a verse about punishment. It's almost as if the Quran knows what your heart is feeling as you read it. That's why it's not just about reading the Quran. It's about allowing the Quran to read in you. When you sit with the Quran, with humility, with sincerity, and you ask Allah for guidance, you will begin to see how its words apply to your exact circumstances. You will find verses that describe your emotional state, your spiritual doubts, your daily struggles. And even though the Quran was revealed over 1,400 years ago, its words will feel brand new, like they were written just for you today. And this is how Allah guides you, quietly yet powerfully, through verses that enter your heart without noise, without shouting, without drama, just gentle truth, divine wisdom, and endless mercy. So if you are ever lost or unsure or emotionally exhausted, turn to the Quran. Don't wait for a voice from the sky. Don't wait for a dream or a sign. The guidance is already in your hands. Open the book, read a verse, reflect. Let the words speak to your heart. And remember, Allah is always guiding. You just have to be willing to listen to what He says, even when He says it without saying a word. My beloved brothers and sisters, there is a form of guidance from Allah that is so subtle, so gentle, that many people don't even recognize it. It comes not through speech, not through visions, not even through other people's words, but through something deep within you, a feeling, a sense, a whisper of the heart. Sometimes it comes through dreams. Sometimes it's that unexplainable comfort or discomfort you feel about something. This too is Allah guiding you, without saying a word. You may have experienced moments in your life where everything looked good on the outside, a job offer with good pay, a friendship that seems full of laughter, an opportunity that everyone else is encouraging you to take, but inside you feel hesitation, you feel uneasy. You can't explain it, but something inside you is unsettled. And the more you try to ignore it, the more restless your heart becomes. That is not just your emotions talking, that may be Allah protecting you by giving you that internal signal. That is part of His divine guidance. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad taught us something incredibly powerful when he said, consult your heart, even if people give you fatwa after fatwa. So what does that mean? It means that even when everyone around you says something is fine, even when all the advice points one way, you still need to check your heart. If your heart is disturbed, especially after seeking guidance from Allah, then don't ignore it. That may be your Lord guiding you through your inner voice. One of the most beautiful practices in our deen is an istikhara, the prayer of seeking guidance from Allah. When a believer is confused or unsure, they turn to their Creator in prayer and ask, "O Allah, if this matter is good for me in my religion, my life, and my future, make it easy for me. And if it is bad for me, take it away and take me away from it." Notice that when you make istikhara, you don't always receive a direct answer. You may not have a dream or a clear sign. But what happens? You begin to feel drawn toward one path and away from another. Allah turns your heart. He opens some doors and quietly closes others. And all the while He hasn't said a word, yet He is guiding you perfectly. Some people misunderstand and wait for something supernatural after istikhara. But that's not always how Allah guides. More often He creates a natural shift in your heart, in your thoughts, in your circumstances. Suddenly, what once looked appealing loses its shine. What once scared you now feels calm. Your heart begins to settle. And that peace or discomfort you feel, that inner clarity, is part of the answer you asked for. Even in moments when you don't actively seek guidance, Allah can nudge your heart in a certain direction. Perhaps you feel a sudden urge to stop doing something wrong, or maybe you lose interest in things that once distracted you from Him. You feel drawn to the masjid, you feel like opening the Qur'an, you want to give charity. These urges are not random. They are the quiet invitations from Allah to draw nearer to Him. He doesn't always call us loudly. Sometimes He just plants a small thought in the heart, and if we follow it, it leads us to goodness. And yes, dreams can also be a form of guidance, though not every dream is from Allah. But there are times when a dream comes with a message, a warning, or a sense of direction that stays with you. The Prophet told us that in a good dream is one of the 46 parts of prophethood. It is a gentle gift, a silent communication from Allah to His servant. However, dreams must be understood with wisdom. They should never be the sole basis of decisions, but rather something that complements the signs we see and feel during the day. The key in all of this is to keep your heart clean and connected, because the more you remember Allah, the more your heart becomes sensitive to His guidance. If your heart is full of sin, arrogance, or heedlessness, you might miss these quiet signs. But when your heart is humble and sincere, even a small feeling can become a clear sign from Allah. So, my dear brothers and sisters, never underestimate the power of that inner voice, especially when it aligns with the values of Islam. That unease, that clarity, that sudden shift of heart. It may be Allah's way of steering you. Trust Him, turn to Him, and know that even in the silence He is guiding you with love and wisdom. My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes in life we plan everything perfectly. We set our goals, we make our intentions clear, we even make dua and take the steps we believe are right. But then suddenly, everything seems to fall apart. The job doesn't come through. The person you were ready to marry walks away. The opportunity you were waiting for disappears. You're left confused, heartbroken, and maybe even questioning your worth. But let me remind you of something beautiful. Sometimes when Allah closes a door in your life, it's not because He is punishing you, it's because He is redirecting you. This is His silent way of guiding you. You may not hear a voice saying, "This is not good for you," but the situation itself will begin to speak. Events start happening that push you away from something you thought was perfect. People begin to show their true colors, circumstances shift, and you feel like everything is slipping through your fingers. It hurts, of course it does. But behind that pain is a greater purpose. That closed door is not the end. It's the beginning of a better path that you didn't even know existed. Allah says in the Qur'an, it may be that you dislike something while it is good for you, and you like something while it is bad for you, and Allah knows while you do not know. And this verse is not just a statement, it is a lifeline. It teaches us that our limited view cannot see what Allah sees. You might think that a certain job, person, or plan is everything you need, but Allah knows what that path holds 5 or 10 years down the line. He knows the test that would come with it, the burdens that would break you, or the harm that would delay your growth. So in His mercy, He gently turns you away, not with words, but with events. Think about your own life. How many times did something not go according to your plan, but later on you were grateful that it didn't? How many times were you heartbroken, only to realize years later that Allah had saved you from something much worse? We don't always understand it in the moment, but if we remain patient and trust in Allah's wisdom, we eventually see the bigger picture. And when we do, we often say, Alhamdulillah, it didn't work out. Even the companions of the Prophet experienced this. During the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, many of them were upset because they felt they had been forced to agree to terms that seemed unfair. They didn't understand why they had to delay their plans. But later, Allah revealed that this treaty was actually a clear victory. What seemed like a loss was, in reality, the beginning of greater triumph. This teaches us that what appears to be a setback may actually be a setup for success if we trust in Allah. Now imagine this, you're standing in front of a door, knocking, praying, waiting for it to open, but nothing happens. You try again and still silence. You may start thinking that Allah has abandoned you, but in reality He is pushing you toward a different door, a better door, one that leads to something more fulfilling, more peaceful, more aligned with your true purpose. And when you finally stop knocking and look around, you realize that the door He opened for you was the one you never considered. This is the kind of guidance Allah gives without speaking a word. It's quiet, it's subtle, but it's powerful. It requires us to pay attention, to trust, to let go of what we wanted and embrace what He has chosen. And believe me, what Allah chooses for you is always better than what you choose for yourself, even if you don't see it at first. So my dear brothers and sisters, the next time you face a closed door, don't let it break you. Let it remind you that your Lord is protecting you, that He is guiding you, that He is redirecting you towards something far better than you imagined. And remember, just because He hasn't said a word, doesn't mean He isn't speaking to your life in the most loving and wise way possible. Trust in that silence, for it often carries the loudest message, I'm guiding you. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most remarkable ways Allah guides us is through the people He places or removes from our lives. And what's truly profound is that this guidance often happens without any words. Allah doesn't need to make an announcement or send down a sign from the heavens. Instead, He quietly shifts the people around you, and through their presence, their character, or even their absence, He steers you toward what is best for you. Many times we don't recognize it while it's happening. We only realize later that those changes were part of a divine plan, designed for our growth, protection, and elevation. There are moments when someone enters your life and brings with them a wave of peace, sincerity, and wisdom. You feel more connected to your faith. You start praying on time. You let go of harmful habits. You begin to see life through a clearer lens. That person may not have preached or lectured you, but just by their presence, they inspired you. That's not a coincidence. That is Allah guiding you through the company you keep. It is from His mercy that He sends people into our lives who pull us closer to Him without saying much. Their actions speak louder than words, their character becomes a silent message, and their sincerity touches your heart in a way that changes you. On the other hand, there are times when people you were deeply attached to begin to fade away. A friend who used to be close becomes distant. Someone you loved suddenly disappears from your life. At first it feels like a loss. You might feel abandoned, betrayed, or left behind. But with time, if you reflect, you begin to see that their presence was holding you back. Perhaps they were taking you away from your purpose, distracting you from your faith, or influencing your decisions in ways you didn't even notice. Their departure, though painful, was a silent form of divine intervention. Allah removed them not to hurt you but to free you. We don't always understand these shifts when they happen. We cry, we question, we ask, why did this person change? Why did they leave? Why did our bond break? But when the dust settles and your heart heals, you begin to understand that Allah was guiding you. That sometimes He takes people out of your life not because they are bad, but because they are not meant for the next chapter of your journey. And sometimes He removes you from someone else's life for the same reason, for your own protection and peace. Even the Prophet Muhammad, the most beloved to Allah, had people come and go in his life. Some companions stood by him through thick and thin. Others turned away. But every relationship, every meeting, every separation, it was all part of Allah's plan. Through these relationships, lessons were learned, strength was developed, and hearts were shaped. Your life is no different. Every person you meet has a purpose, and every person who leaves has a reason. One of the signs of Allah's love is that He places people around you who remind you of Him. If someone's presence helps you remember Allah more, be grateful. That person is a silent guide, a gift from your Lord. And if someone leaves your life and as a result you find more clarity, more peace, more closeness to Allah, be thankful too, because that too is a form of guidance. We often underestimate how much influence the people around us have. The Prophet said, "A person is upon the religion of their close friend, so let one of you look at whom he befriends." This hadith is a gentle warning, and a reminder that those around us either lift us or pull us down. And when Allah wants good for us, He brings the right people into our lives and takes the wrong ones out, sometimes without a single word spoken. So my dear brothers and sisters, pay attention to the people around you. Appreciate those who inspire you to be better. Reflect on the lessons you've learned from those who've left. Don't resist the changes. Don't chase what Allah is removing. Trust that every connection and every disconnection is part of His silent, perfect guidance. He knows what you need more than you do, and often He gives you that guidance not through books, not through lectures, not even through signs in the sky, but through the people who walk in and out of your life, right on time. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the greatest misconceptions we have is that if life is difficult, then somehow we are doing something wrong, or that Allah is displeased with us. But this is not always the case. In fact, one of the most powerful and silent ways that Allah guides us is through hardship. Yes, hardship. Through difficulty, loss, delay, and struggle, Allah teaches us, redirects us, and purifies us, without uttering a single word. The test itself becomes the teacher. The pain becomes the message. The delay becomes the lesson. And the entire journey becomes guidance, hidden in the folds of patience and trust. When something difficult happens in our lives, our immediate reaction is to ask, why me? But a better question to ask is, what is Allah trying to teach me through this? Because every hardship has meaning. Every moment of waiting, every tear, every disappointment, it carries within it a wisdom that you might not see right away. But trust me, if you reflect and remain patient, you will come to see how Allah was guiding you all along. He may not have spoken to you directly, but He spoke through the situation. He spoke through the delay. He spoke through the silence. Think about the times when your plans fell apart. Maybe you worked hard for something, a job, a business, an exam, and despite all your effort, it didn't happen. You were left confused and perhaps even angry. But then later, something else came your way, something better, something that brought more peace to your heart. At that moment you understood, had I succeeded in that earlier plan, I would not have been here today. That hardship you once hated became the very thing that led you to where you were meant to be. That's Allah's guidance, subtle, quiet, and perfect. Even in the story of Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, we see this lesson. He was thrown into a well by his own brothers, sold as a slave, imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. For years his life was full of hardship and injustice, but every single one of those events led him to a position of honor and power through which he saved an entire nation. Did Allah abandon him in the well? No. Did He forget him in prison? Never. Allah was guiding him through every trial, without saying a word. The difficulty was the path, the pain was the compass. In your own life, maybe you are waiting for something right now. A marriage, a child, a job, a breakthrough. You've made dua, you've tried your best, but the door hasn't opened. You're tempted to believe that your prayers aren't being heard. But perhaps that delay is a form of protection. Maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe the blessing you're asking for needs to come at a different time, when your heart is stronger, your character is more refined, your trust in Allah is deeper. Allah is never late, He is never early, He is always exactly on time. And in that waiting, in that delay, He is shaping you. Sometimes the guidance in hardship is about teaching us patience. Sometimes it's about teaching us to let go of arrogance or ego. Other times it's about forcing us to rely completely on Him. Because when everything is easy, we tend to forget. We become distracted. But when life shakes us, when we are left with no option but to turn to Him, that is when the heart truly opens. That is when the soul is purified. And that is when guidance comes, not through a voice, not through a vision, but through submission and humility. My dear brothers and sisters, hardship is not a punishment. It is a purification. It is a mirror that shows us who we truly are and what we truly believe. It is a path that leads us to growth, strength, and nearness to Allah. Do not curse your difficulty. Do not think that because life is hard, Allah has left you. Often it is in those very moments of darkness that He is the closest to you. The pain is not meaningless, the weight is not empty, the silence is not absence. Allah is present, guiding you every step of the way, through tests, through trials, and through lessons wrapped in hardship. So be patient, be grateful, and open your heart to the hidden messages within the struggle. Because Allah is guiding you, not with loud signs or thunderous words, but with precise, silent wisdom. You just have to trust Him, especially when life feels the hardest. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most beautiful ways Allah guides us without saying a word is through the gift of clarity that comes after sincere reliance on Him. When we place our trust in Allah, when we perform istikhara with a clean heart and submit our choices to Him, something incredible begins to unfold. Allah opens some doors and gently closes others. He makes some things easy and others difficult. This ease and difficulty are not random, they are not coincidences. They are part of His silent guidance, a divine way of saying yes, this is good for you, or no, this is not your path, without uttering a single word. Istikhara is a deeply personal and spiritual conversation between you and your Lord. It is not about seeing a dream or expecting a vision. It is about asking Allah, the All-Knowing, to choose what is best for you in your worldly and spiritual affairs. When you pray istikhara sincerely, you are telling Allah, I trust you more than I trust myself. And what happens after that is not always instant, but it is always precise. Slowly, your heart begins to lean toward one direction. Situations evolve. People reveal their true nature. Opportunities open or they close. This movement, this shift in reality is Allah's response. A quiet but clear answer to your dua. What's amazing is that sometimes the outcome of istikhara goes completely against what you thought you wanted. You might have been certain about a decision, convinced it was the right one, but after seeking Allah's guidance, things begin to feel heavy, uncertain, and full of obstacles. At first, this may confuse or upset you, but with time you will come to realize that Allah was protecting you from something hidden, something your limited vision couldn't see. And that protection is a form of love, a quiet, powerful love. The Prophet Muhammad said that whoever places their trust in Allah, He is sufficient for them. That means you don't need every answer right away. You don't need to see the full picture. You just need to trust that the one who created you knows what's best for you. And He will guide you, sometimes by placing peace in your heart, sometimes by making the wrong path uncomfortable or impossible. That discomfort is not punishment. It is direction. A subtle push towards something better. Have you ever experienced a moment when everything just started to fall into place? You didn't plan for it, you didn't expect it, but suddenly things were working out. The people you needed showed up. The roadblocks disappeared. Your heart felt calm and you knew without a doubt that this was right. That is also guidance. That is the fruit of trusting Allah. That is what happens when you do your part, then surrender the rest to Him. He takes care of the outcome in a way no one else can. On the other hand, maybe you faced a situation where things kept going wrong, even though you tried your best. You applied, you planned, you prayed, but the path kept getting harder. It was draining. It made you question your choices. That too can be guidance. Allah may be showing you that this road is not meant for you, not because you're not good enough, but because He has something better, something more fitting for your purpose in this world and your peace in the next. One of the greatest forms of faith is learning to be content with Allah's answer, even when it doesn't match what you had in mind. Because true success is not getting what you want, it's getting what is best for your dunya and your akhirah, even if it comes wrapped in delay, redirection, or silence. So, my dear brothers and sisters, when you are confused, when you are standing at a crossroads, turn to Allah, perform istikhara, pour your heart out, and then let go. Let go of the anxiety, let go of the pressure to control everything. Trust that Allah is guiding you. Watch how things unfold. Pay attention to the doors that open with ease and the ones that resist no matter how hard you try. This is Allah answering your call, not with a voice, not with a sign in the sky, but with a change in your circumstances, a shift in your heart, and a path made clear by His wisdom. This is the essence of tawakkul, trusting the process, trusting the plan, and most importantly, trusting the one who created both. Allah doesn't need to speak to be heard. His guidance is present in every moment, every change, every unanswered prayer that leads to something better. You just have to be willing to submit, watch, and listen, not with your ears but with your heart.